2020 Jeep Cherokee, the limited model. This thing does several things better than my Hellcat Durango, and I'm about to give you all the reasons why. But first, we need a cold start. Listen to that Dyson purr. Real quick before the video gets started, we've got shirts designed by yours truly, available in large, extra large, and 2XL. If you're interested in picking up one to support the channel, check the link in the description below. On to the video. Welcome back to another Tech Junkie video. Today I'm going to give you several examples of things that the 2020 Jeep Cherokee Limited does better than my 2020 Dodge Durango SRT Hellcat. So let's start out with the fact that this thing blends in perfectly with the crowd. If you're like me, I'm pretty introverted, and while I love my Hellcat Durango or my Hellcat Challenger or the T-Rex before that, or any of the other Challengers or Chargers that I've owned, I get tired of people pulling up to me in traffic and blowing their horn and trying to test me at a light. With this thing, I don't get any of that. I just drive and people drive, and it blends right in as it should. It's just a 5-passenger compact SUV, so it shouldn't get that much attention, and there's plenty of them on the road, so it blends right in. The next thing I like better about this than the Hellcat Durango is it's so much quieter. After a long day at work, sometimes I just like to veg out in the seat and drive home in complete silence, and you're not getting any silence in the Durango. As noted in some of my videos that I filmed in the Durango, the exhaust even stock is pretty loud, and you can hear it audibly over my voice. And with this, you have no issues with that. This thing is pretty quiet, and that helps in blending right in. The next thing this thing does better, and this is absolutely inexcusable on Dodge's part with the Durango, the gauge cluster in the center dash for this car. Now this is the Limited, so it is fully loaded. It has every option available. But the gauge cluster is so much better in this car than in the Durango. Again, nothing spectacular, but that's 25% of the Durango's total price. The gauge cluster looks better in the Jeep than it does in the Durango, and that's crazy to me. The gauge cluster in this car looks like it belongs in the Durango. This car costs 25% of what the Durango did. I could have bought 4 Jeep Cherokee Limiteds for the price of the Durango, so this thing should actually not have anything better than the Durango, but it does. The gauge cluster in the center dash is higher resolution, it looks better, it's more appealing than the one in the Durango, and it just leads me to wonder why Dodge would put an inferior product out on the street when they're charging 4 times the price. Now, I talked about that in my pros and cons video of my Durango. The gauge cluster in the center dash, it's just inferior. It looks like 10-year-old technology, and I don't know why they chose to use that. And that leads me to the next thing. The reverse camera in this Jeep Cherokee is better than the reverse camera in my Durango. Now that may not look spectacular, but it's better than the one in the Durango, and this car costs 25% of the Durango's total price. That's crazy. Both these vehicles are made by the same company. Jeep, Dodge, Chrysler, Ram, they're all owned by a company called Stellantis, who bought Fiat Chrysler. So they're all made by the same company. You would think that a 2021 Durango would beat a 2020 Jeep Cherokee in every way, shape, or form, but that's just not the case. One of the biggest features that this car has that my Durango doesn't is the blind spot alert. I was pleasantly surprised the first time I drove it. When I hit the right turn signal and started to merge over, the light popped on, and then I heard the beep warning me that someone was in my blind spot. I love that feature. I almost got in an accident several years back in a Challenger which has horrible blind spots, and that blind spot alert definitely is it for me. I love that feature, and it needs to be in every vehicle, in my opinion. And this is a no-brainer, this next one. The gas mileage is always one of those things that I tend to harp on, and I haven't driven anything other than a V8 in about, I'd say, 10 years. I had a Dodge Dart which was a 4-cylinder turbo, but I rarely ever drove that. That was a company car for my business, and my employees drove it most of the time. I drove it very, very sparingly. And that one got good gas mileage, but like I said, I very rarely drove it. Everything else I've driven has been a V8, so I'm used to 12 to 15 miles to the gallon, 17 in some of the trucks I've owned. This thing gets 26, 28 miles to the gallon. It can get even higher. I'm averaging almost 26 right now. When I first got in this car, it was 28 miles to the gallon. I drive a little bit more with reckless abandon than my mom does, but I get about 11 miles to the gallon in the Durango, and that's a pleasant surprise. I filled this car up with gas 3 days ago. Still got well over 300 miles range, and my Durango, if I fill it up, I get 240 miles range. If I'm lucky, I can go about 5 or 6 days on a full tank. I'm pretty confident I could drive this car for 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks on a full tank. And that's just one of those things. It's a 4-cylinder, so you can expect to get better gas mileage in this than you would in the Durango. The last thing that I feel that this car does better than the Durango is also related to fuel efficiency. You can put 87 in this, and that's always a plus. The Durango only takes 93. In a state where I can buy 87 for $2.79 a gallon or 93 for almost $3.50 a gallon, give me the 87. Now, of course, I'm being lighthearted with this. I'm not sitting here saying that I'm about to swap out my Durango on a permanent basis for the Jeep Cherokee. I love my Durango, and I noted that in my video. I have very few negative things to say about the Durango, but I've enjoyed the change of pace in driving this Jeep Cherokee for the past week. This car really is a good daily driver. If you're in the market for a car, I definitely would say at least give it the thought. Go visit your local Chrysler Jeep dealer and test drive one. They're awesome cars. It drives really smooth, and for 21 grand for one that was a year old, it's got every feature that I could have imagined. Now is probably not the best time to buy any vehicle. I've noted that in another video that I'll link below about why now is the worst time in my history to buy a car, because everything's marked up. And even used cars are higher than they should be because of the chip shortages that are making car prices skyrocket. But when the time comes and everything settles back down, I would definitely recommend the 2020 Jeep Cherokee Limited or a 2021. I'm sure the 2018 and 2019 models are just as nice. This is a very nice car. My mom loves it. This is the car that she wanted when we were looking online, and I look forward to getting this back to her soon. I appreciate you guys watching the videos. If you like the video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell so you get notified for all the videos. It's time to go start my work day. Y'all take it easy. At the end of the day though, there really is no substitution for that sweet supercharged V8.